Hello everyone, how you doing? And welcome back to Skye and Evan in the morning. And today we're gonna be talking about another old movie. We're in a classic old movie arc right now. We're gonna be talking about The Seventh Seal, the Swedish movie about a guy who plays chess with death.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. That was all I knew about it from before I went in to watch it. That was what sold me on
Same
it ages ago, but yeah.
same here, and I feel like uh, it's one of those classic just film shots. I don't know if you know about that movie. I don't even know the name of it, but there's a movie where someone's eye is cut open by a straight razor, and like most people are familiar with that imagery, that shot, just because of how famous the shot is. And this is similar. This shot on the beach with a knight playing chess with death, and with someone that is so clearly death, even without like you
Yeah.
being told that beforehand, because the costume and the guy's performance is just so amazing. But that was all I knew about this movie, was that that scene occurs.
Yeah.
And I was kind of surprised that it was the essentially the opening scene, and that it was a recurring idea in the movie, that like they brought it back and they had it be something that the movie rounded out to. And
Yeah.
I think it was ingenious the way they did that.
It's very interesting the way they did that. I don't know what I because I thought it was a movie about a guy playing chess with death, and it was just like My Dinner with Andre, kind of just two characters talking. Um, that's what I assumed the movie
But
was, but it's most
yeah,
definitely not
not
that.
really.
Yeah.
It's kind of I saw it almost like a I'm trying to think of a movie to compare it to. But it's one of those, like, the family I found kind of a things.
Mm,
It's like I've been alone and aimless and wandering these lands, and then the main character who's like lost meets this group of people, and this group of people like change him, and it's like, oh my god, I see the light now, and now I can confront. I mean, hell, I was, you know, there have been so many different interpretations of death as a character. I love the idea of characterizing death. It just makes perfect sense. But Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is a little similar to
mm-hmm.
this, where the character meets people that change their outlook when at the beginning of the story they're challenged by death, literally.
Yeah.
So,
There's a lot of interesting things to be said about death. I mean, I think a ghost
yeah.
story, it not a ghost story doesn't have like the physical death, but I think it explores the idea of facing your death in a very interesting way that I don't know,
Yeah,
kind of some.
relatively similar
Yeah,
to like characterizing that. I mean, just a
yeah,
literal ghost. But
yeah.
I,
It was interesting. I think it's I thought it was really cool to have like you know what? Before I say that, who's your favorite character?
Uh, is his name Johns or
Yawns, yeah.
Johns? Yawns. He might have been my
Yeah,
favorite.
he
He
was my
was
favorite
really
by far.
funny.
He was the best, easily. He was so cynical, and I don't know if I just liked it because I agreed with what he was saying, or if it was just because, like, he was so funny, but he was great. He was so cynical, and he was just like, I could have told you this about eternity before, but now you've got, like, when they're about to die, he's just like, well, I could have told you this about eternity before, but now it won't matter. It's just like so fucking funny and always constantly being like seeing the reality of situations, but like like the fucking the wife who had left for the husband for the fucking actor, and he's just like calling her next move like, oh yeah, now she's gonna mention his favorite food. She says like, oh, I'm gonna make some dumplings for you. It's fucking great.
Well, and also I love like one of the earliest moments with him is when he finds the dead man who's like looking, he thinks is looking for the horizon. He's
uh,
like, "Where's the inn?" And it's like, no, he was quite eloquent. So
yeah,
I really funny character, really good person. Because like this movie is basically about the Black Death. It takes place
yeah,
during the plague. It's a plague film, and it's funny to get a character like Jans who is just so cynical and just feels like they've just seen it all, and they don't even react that strongly to so many of the
yeah.
situations of this movie. But at the same time, there is a knightly nobility to him that
Yeah.
I love. Like I
Well,
love
he
that
is a
guy.
good person. Like he does try to help, and he has a little bit of like a nice heart. I mean, a good person. There's a line
Well,
about him raping a woman
yeah,
that is like maybe
that shit was
I
weird.
forgot that he had a line where he says to a woman they just met like, "Oh, I could have raped you,
Yeah.
but I don't believe in love like that." It's like
It's
okay,
a weird scene. It's funny, like the depiction of women in general, like the characters are very much like painted as damsels. And
yeah,
I mean, it's a medieval movie. It's like takes place during the plague. Like that was more commonplace back then. But that the thing about him is he seems to like act the role of a squire or a knight,
yeah,
like wishing for something out of it. It seems like partly for the nobility, but part of it isn't. And like that scene where he blinds the guy, like that was such a cold. For one, before then, the framing, like Ingmar Bergman, I've only seen this one movie from him, but that scene where he like confronts the woman and like he says like don't scream, like no one, there is no one to hear you, neither God nor man, and
yeah.
then he's just behind the door and there's this silence of like oh my god. And I think the deal is that he didn't like he wasn't part of the Crusades because that's the two leads. They were like a part of the Crusades, which of course went wrong and a lot of people died. But he like accuses the guy of being a coward, and then he blinds him later in the story when he meets him again. That's what he tells him: "Don't let me meet you again." So
Yeah.
I love Johns. He's a very interesting
Very
character in the
interesting
story.
character. Yeah. I hate that I said he's a good person. I was like, probably not. He has, like you
Yeah,
said, a bit of nobility to him. He has like a moral compass, I guess, and he's always like because he has like a purpose, which is to protect and serve his knight. You know, he's just a squire.
yeah. Squire,
Yeah,
classic role.
and the main character, it's Antonius Black, right? That's his name. The
Block, I believe is his last name. And yeah, Antonius Block. Yeah,
yeah, and has no purpose, and it's kind of the thing. He's trying to delay death until he finds like an answer about like there being something after. And something that I love as
yeah.
well is the fact that he asks death and that says, I am unknowing. Like death doesn't know what happens. Like death has no secrets. I think
That
that's a really cool
yeah,
thing.
death has no secrets. I have always wanted to write my own version of death, and I actually because that's what I love. I love the idea that death isn't. In fact, a scene that kind of kills this movie for me is the saw. I mean, death is like a straight up troll in
Yeah.
this movie. It's really funny, but he like saws down a tree that a guy's in, and it's a little bit like, "Ew," it's literally death. But I like it when death as a character doesn't have like agency. He
Yeah.
doesn't kill people.
He
He
just
just
reaps
shows
their
up
souls.
when
Yeah.
yeah, it's a job basically.
Yeah.
It's an interesting idea for something to do with death to have him be like almost an independent character and you to go to him almost like asking questions of God, like asking to get answers about life, and he's just like, I'm just doing this because it's my job. This isn't something where I like have the answers that are going to make
Yeah.
death meaningful. So,
Yeah. Well, and it's what's interesting because when he says he is unknowing, that's when they finalize their game, and he says like, "Was the delay, like did was it worth it?" It says it was because he helped his friends like get away from death, which I think is like he
yeah,
found a purpose even if he doesn't have an answer about God, and when he's about to die, fucking he's praying to be spared, to have for God to have mercy and everything. But he found his purpose in life by just like helping his friends survive, which I think is a cool little like idea to have in a film like this. It's like, yeah, he may not have like answers for what happens after death, but he found meaning in life, I guess.
well, it's so funny. Like I recommended this movie indirectly because we'd seen The Exorcist last week, and I mentioned to you that I think the best like Christian stories or Christian movies aren't made by Christians.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie reminds me of the same idea, where it is a really good exploration of faith, even though it's not in the traditional way you'd imagine that would be explored. It's a story of faith through the literal confrontation with death and believing that he's like hollow, that he doesn't have like, I love the dialogue when he thinks that death is a priest and death just rolls with it.
Hmm.
Um, but you just
Well, yeah, he's
hearing him, it's
confessing,
just
and his confession is very interesting because he's like, it's not that I fear death, I welcome it. I just want to know what happens after. I just want to have certainty. It's very interesting. Like he's
he has a
like lost
line
all
that I
hope and everything, but he's just trying to find purpose in death, which I mean is a very interesting way to talk about just um depression in general.
one day will stand to the far edge. There's a line about like carving an idol out of your fears and calling it God. Yeah, we carve an
Mm,
idol out of our fear and call it God. Jesus, that is a line.
that is an
and
amazing line, yeah.
it's so funny too that death, like his response to that is like you're upset. It's that classic like when someone's just saying like really nihilistic shit because they're upset, but like I love that. I love that exploration of faith and of like the silence of God. There's a
Yeah.
bunch of movies that explore this idea of like
Yeah.
thinking that God isn't there and death being oppressive, and like what better way to explore that than the literal Black Death. But
Yeah.
I think that this is done really well in this movie. Even it's one of those things you were mentioning, thinking that this might just be their story. It's and what it is the movie's like a focuses on like an acting troupe that
Yeah.
does like a circus basically, and that's what the main characters encounter. That becomes the like family that they never knew they needed kind of a thing. I'd say that's not as interesting as the material with the knight and squire.
Yeah.
Like as characters, they're just not as interesting, even though you know what they're there for. You know they're there to change the main characters around the story out. It's just them as people, they were definitely not half as interesting.
Yeah. It's the I think the ideas the movie explores are interesting, but the characters are not that deep. I mean, there's some lines are, they're cool. And I mean, just the scene of him eating the fucking strawberries and drinking milk, I really love. Just like the general idea of
Yeah.
like I will
It-
remember this forever. Like, like just this moment, the stillness, being surrounded by good company. It's like it's a very nice moment, which I kind of didn't expect from the movie, but then like once we got to that scene, I was like, okay, I
no.
understand completely where this movie is going now. It's like that's his arc. It's finding like,
Well, I
beauty
I
in like
thought
the simple.
I thought he might not get to that moment because of how like cynical he was at the
Uh,
beginning of the film. I thought that he might just continually be like encountering death and just stay cynical, but no. And I love that as well. Like you said, that he just is like, I will remember this. Like
yeah,
I this is so good and so nice, and this will be like this will stick with me forever.
yeah,
So
very
yeah,
interesting.
Max von Sydow is amazing in this movie.
Yeah,
It's got very good performances, and it's funny. I think it came out in '57,
yeah,
and
57.
it, it feels. I mean, like it's a little similar to Kurosawa, like when he released movies, but that era, it's not too old fashioned. When you watch a movie and it's like definitely dated. It doesn't like if it were released like today, it would definitely like feel
Yeah,
like it was aged, feel old. This movie like rides the line, and the restoration from Criterion is absolutely amazing. The movie looks sharp as all hell, but there's something about this movie that feels like semi-modern, a little bit like the tragedy of Macbeth from Joel Cohen.
yeah. There is an it's interesting with films from that era. I think because there is an argument to be said that like visuals will age. Well, not visuals in general, but like visual effects and stuff like that, like makeup and everything. Because you can tell, like, it's very like from the era, the way everyone was dressed. Like, not just like, try to replicate the medieval looks, but just like stuff that looks like it was from the 1950s in the movie. But like storytelling in general is kind of timeless. Like these stories, they don't like especially if they're well told, they don't really age. And I think there's an interesting argument to be made about that because it is a story that is very timeless, especially because it is like talking about a time in history that everyone knows about, the the Black Death and the Crusades and everything. And it tells a very interesting story. I don't know. It's I think it has aged very well for a movie from the 1950s.
Yeah. Like I said, the depiction of women is its own deal,
Yeah,
and like I said, you could call it a little bit like timely, but um most everything else is just pretty much on
yeah.
point.
It's just a
It's
very
one of those.
interesting way to explore faith and just cynicism and just I mean fucking it's a similar concept that are explored in The Life of Chuck, funnily enough. So yeah, I don't know.
Video coming soon.
Video, actually, the video will already be out when this recording is out, but yeah.
My God, you make me look lazy because I
I
am.
made
I'm
a
like,
like 16-minute
gosh.
video. We're working on a huge video. Don't worry about it.
It's true. Yeah. Any other like key points? Because we've kind of gone through the overview. I was about to
um,
say him reuniting with his wife at the end is
yeah.
kind of interesting. It
Well, it
definitely is
is.
supposed to like add to the stakes of that final
Yeah.
moment and that like helping them
I
escape
think
thing.
it's a moment of like him finding his purpose and going like full circle. Seeing his wife and having dinner with his friends and being like, it's kind of all worth it. It is kind of funny though that he's still like crying and begging for mercy as death is about to take him because his arc is supposed to be that he has found purpose regardless of what happens after death. But it's fine. People are scared of death even when they've like accepted it. It's still scary as a
Yeah,
concept.
I think that's even his line, like my flesh is afraid, but I am not, when
Yeah.
he says, "Are you ready?" Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's
it's very interesting. I really like what they explore in terms of faith there. It's interesting because I'm not a person, you know, I'm not a faithful person. I don't believe in like
it's funny.
anything.
I don't know how much we've talked about this, like, because
I'm
we
not
have
on the
talked about this a
podcast.
decent
Yeah,
bit, like, but yeah, not, but neither one of both of us have like history with
yeah,
faith and with like religion, but like as of now, we're not like particularly religious. So,
yeah.
and funnily enough, that's what I like about movies like this that surprise you. Where you're like, oh shit, a little bit
Yeah.
of religious
Well,
storytelling
I
going on there,
like
and you can
when
appreciate stories a little
yeah,
more when you know more about it personally.
for sure, and I like when like um stuff engages with religion in like an earnest manner and doesn't talk down to you either way you lean, whether you believe or you don't believe. Like belief isn't like the thing that like the film is expecting of the audience. At the same time, it's also not saying that not believing anything is what's expected. You're just like you're allowed to believe whatever you want. Like death comes to us all the same, and you just try to find your own comfort in life, which I find a much more interesting way to deal with than like the Christian propaganda or a movie just like talking down on religious people. Because I don't know,
Yeah,
it's a very interesting case, and it's like you said, like a lot of but the best Christian movies are the ones made by non-Christians, And Midnight Mass remains my favorite depiction of like
yeah.
religion in media.
We might talk about that one day because man, Midnight Mass is amazing.
It
Check
is.
that out if you haven't. Um, Key other things to talk about. I'm like we've kind of given the overview, and I'm thinking like specific scenes. One that I just passed was the woman who's accused of being a witch. That's
Mm. Oh yeah, that's
because
interesting that because they have the thing of like, oh, the devil, look in my eyes, you're gonna see him, and the Augustus Antonius.
it's own. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just like I see nothing but a desperation because it's just like she wants to believe that she's done this for a purpose, that there is something beyond,
That
but there
she is
isn't.
actually a witch or seeing
Yeah,
the dead exactly.
because
And
otherwise she's being killed for no reason, which is just like it hits hard. I really like that.
well, again, another thing with like the movie being like timely and like fitting, like having certain things that fit with the times, is that like guy that may or may not be mentally ill in the movie. And at one point, Jans is like, go to the tavern, see if they have a solution, or like have the person you're looking for. And that's the same thing, like, people that were like burned at the stake or whatever, accused of being witches, they probably had like mental illnesses like
Yeah.
back in the day. So you can read into it as something like that. But it's interesting that he literally is just like, show me like death, show me the devil, like let me see what you've seen. And he's just undeterred by it. He's just like, no, I don't believe this.
Yeah.
I don't see what you see. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
interesting, like
it is very funny
challenging
because they
for the
even
character.
like, they make fun of the knights that are taking her to be burned, because it's like, wow, what a brave job you are doing, like, transporting a witch when something bad could happen. They're like, we're not brave, we're just being paid. It's like, it's very cynical. It's very interesting. I don't know.
Yeah. I quite loved this movie. It's
Yeah,
funny
I
because
liked it
like
quite a
some of
bit.
it, like I said, the acting characters are not like my favorite part of the story for certain, but still it works really well all around. And it's just like, it's one of those classics that you watch. You're like, yeah, this is why this is a classic. It is a great, pretty simple movie about knighthood and about cynicism and nihilism and like what you do in a world that's like plagued by death.
Yeah.
So I think it's great. I'd recommend it.
Yeah, I think it's very, very interesting. One of those classics that everyone who's into filmmaking needs to watch. It's on every cinephile's watch list. Um,
Yeah, it's on there for a reason. Like I'd put this aside. I'd always wanted to get the Criterion Blu-ray like for years, and I'd like, it's just like, the chest of death. I'm like, take it or leave it. I'm like,
yeah,
check this out.
yeah.
It's really good.
It's
Definitely don't
short
let this
too.
one
It's
pass you
like one
by.
hour and
Y-
37 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
90 minutes. It's a nice runtime. Does not waste your time at all. And I'm always glad to when I see it. And yeah, it's certainly worth it.
yeah. I didn't like absolutely love it, but just because certain aspects, like we mentioned, the fucking rape line still gets me. I have no idea why that was in the movie, but
I was like thrown by it. I was like, God damn, dude, I'm trying to like you. Like you're
yeah.
taking it.
But yeah, it's a very well made movie. It tells a very interesting story about religion. I think it's worth a watch. Not one I'm probably gonna rewatch all the time, but it is a very interesting movie. I think it is worth the watch. There's a reason why it's in everyone's list. So yeah, I recommend.
All right.
All right, now it's time for me to recommend
Well,
something. So the thing
this
is, Evan,
recommending is
I had something on my mind earlier this morning. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna recommend this movie." I have no clue what that recommendation was. I've been scrolling
I
past
just
my watch
blanked.
lists, and I just completely forgot what it was. I just
Oh
don't know.
God.
So um I'm going to recommend instead Melancholia.
Ooh, Lars von Trier.
Yeah.
I've meant to check that out for a while.
Yeah,
That's one of
we've
his
not
more
yeah,
widely accessible movies that
yeah.
people like.
We've not covered Lars von Trier yet. I remember really loving Melancholia. It's a very interesting movie. It's about the end of the world, and we might go into
Yeah.
an end of the world arc because Life of
Yeah.
Chuck, which I still need to watch with you, but we'll get around to it. And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's a really well made movie. I think it's very interesting, very much on the pessimistic side of end of the
Yeah,
world
Lars
stories.
I haven't seen many Lars von Trier movies, but I definitely get that vibe from him. He can be a very pessimistic
Yeah.
filmmaker in terms of like what stories are. But I just love how interesting his movies are. And I never feel like my time was wasted when I watch a
No,
Lars von
there.
Trier movie.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think I've only seen from him. I've only seen Melancholia and
the House of Jack built.
How's Jack built. Yeah.
Is that it? Because I've seen Nymphomaniac Part One. I still haven't seen Part Two. I need to, but
Oh yeah,
those.
I
Yeah,
started watching Dogville, but I didn't finish it. That was an interesting one because I was making my video
that was
about
one of his earliest, I believe. Right?
Uh, 2003. Yeah, I guess so. It's because I was making a video about metamodernism, and I remember, that film being talked about because that film doesn't have any sets. It's just filmed on a place with a fucking bunch of markings on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very interesting, but it was like long, and the audio quality was really bad. So I was like, okay, am I gonna get through this? And then I ended up not finishing
Do-
it.
Dogma is such a weird genre. Like, is that supposed to be a Dogma movie? Because like I've seen a Dogma film proper, and the rules are so weird. Like they just, it's like a genre that's all built around specific rules and guidelines, and I find them kind of dumb.
Yeah, sometimes it can be. Yeah, I don't think it's like a proper Dogma film, as far as I know. But yeah, yeah, it's an interesting idea that I still want to finish watching that movie when I have the time. It's just, you know, it's fine. Oh, I just remembered another
All
movie I
right.
wanted to cover.
Yeah.
Actually, gonna add it to my list. But yeah, um,
Melancholia. Gotcha.
Melancholia. Yeah, it's yeah, really good film from what I remember. Really liked it, and yeah, thanks for watching, folks. We'll catch you next time. Oh, this actually came out after the Endgame one. If I yeah, thinking about it. So this is already start of like season 2 after our year anniversary.
Yeah.
Wow,
My
special thing.
God, a year. It's
A
kind of
year.
crazy to think about. And
Yeah,
I always just laugh that it worked. That like we didn't really miss a week. Like
yeah.
Pistol,
I
like
mean, we
we
have
had that
we had
episode we
more than
record.
one a week when if you consider the numbers, like
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it's more than 52. It's pretty crazy.
You would have thought it'd fizzle out, and then like even just like that we would have gotten bored. Like it happens, you start a podcast, you're like, yay, and then like 6 weeks go by, just like, this is what but it's like nice little thing. It just recommended movies every week, and I've seen a ton of movies that I wouldn't have seen otherwise. That like it would have
Yeah,
taken me forever to get around. This being one of them, where I just always wanted to see the Seventh Seal, and I just didn't have an excuse. I'm like, let's go.
yeah. So yeah, folks, thanks. I mean, I assume
Part
you've already heard us
two.
say this in the endgame video. We haven't recorded that yet, if you can't tell. But yeah, thanks, folks, for the support of this year. It's been awesome, and yeah, for hopeful for another good year of watching movies.
Yes, indeed. Skye and Evan in the morning. Thanks
Yeah,
for tuning in. It's been great. Very good run, to say the least.
yeah. All right, folks. We'll catch you next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.